This is the roof inspection. What we're looking for is the condition of the roof in general and the condition of the flashings in particular. We have two penetrations here. That's normally a dryer. This would be a furnace. So we're at the we are at the right side elevation of the property, and we're going to go and have a look, see what we can find. Here we've got a penetration, and the pipe has actually dropped down. It often happens. It's lowered down into the attic, and it's caused the boot flashing to buckle, and somebody's come up here and corked it. Really, that shouldn't be corked, it should be replaced. Corking doesn't work on these. It cracks very quickly, and it leads them to leaking just as much as they would if you'd left them uncorked. Chimney stack, it's at the right side elevation, and down the bottom here we have rotting siding that needs to be replaced. That's at the rear of the chimney. Also, this chimney really should have a chimney cricket, and it doesn't. It's as it was when it was built. These days it would have a cricket there, but one of the things you'll be required to do is sweep from the leaves and debris from there from time to time, because the cricket would normally allow it to be washed away. This is the skylight at the rear right elevation. Looking at flashing, so looking at the condition. Down there is a penetration, and the flashing is broken and wearing, and that's going to need replacing. This is the chimney, and we come up to it. You can see we have coping around it, and the coping has cracked and broken. This coping must be removed and new coping put in place, and at the same time a proper chimney cap fitted. At the moment what we've got is some chicken wire that keeps the birds out, but it doesn't stop water from getting inside the stack itself. Now the problem with water is that smoke is acidic. You add water to it and it will attack the lining of the chimney, and so cause it to deteriorate over time. So all of these cracks, they need to be well, the coping needs to come off, new coping put on, and a proper chimney cap and spark arrestor fitted. This is flue, probably to a furnace. It's located on the left side elevation, and you can see the cap has been crushed, and that's going to restrict the exit of gases from the flue and cause a problem with gas back up into the building. So this flue cap must be replaced. I'm at the rear elevation, and we've got some damage to the ridge shingles here. You can see that the nails have been exposed, and there's a piece of shingle lying here. It indicates that the shingles are being damaged actively at the moment. My suspicion is that there are rats active on the roof, and they may be damaging it. Now the reason I say suspicion is that here we actually have rat droppings. The only other cause of this damage may be tree contact. Well, you can see there's no trees in contact with the house at the present time, although that could have been the case in the past. But this damage here is comparatively recent, and you can see along there. So something's damaging this roof, but we're not quite sure. This is the skylight. It's at the left rear elevation of the property, and we're just checking on the condition of the flashings. They're all in pretty good order. standing looking at the front gable, and down here at the edge here we've got some rot. It's wet rot. It's caused because the siding is in contact with the actual shingles and water wicks up and rots it. This whole area here is soft and should be replaced. Standing to the left of the garage as you face it, and in this corner here there's a hole. It's big enough for a rat to go through. That needs to be closed up. Look at the front gable end of the garage, and you can see here the flashing is lifting. This is the grade inspection. You can see here that we're on the right hand elevation of the property. It's not sloping away as much as I like it. It's a retaining wall the other side. We'll look at that in a minute. But the property itself, due to the trees, the ground's all gone, but there's a lot of water flowing through it down in this direction, and there's little or nowhere for it to go, and there really should be some drainage out of the building, out of the yard. The rear of the yard has a neighbour's adjoining wall. It's a small retaining wall, and the retaining wall is failing, and you need to find out who actually owns this wall. Is it owned by you or by the neighbour? And you see here in the corner, a bit difficult on the video, but in there I've got a tie, and that tie is actually moving, and the wall, the retaining wall, which is wood, is leaning forward. Continuing the grade inspection, as I say, the retaining wall at the rear of the property is failing. Here there's been an attempt to hold the wall in place by driving these posts, wooden posts in. It's very temporary, it will not last forever because those posts themselves are going to rot. The wall needs to be stabilised better than that. As I say, I need to find out from your find out who owns that wall, who owns that retaining wall. Going to the left hand elevation, and we have another retaining wall again. You can see here we've got failure. The grading on this side of the property is not very good. It's not sloping away from the building, and it could cause pooling of water along the side of the walls here. We're going to the front elevation now, and you can see we've got a retaining wall, very large tree, and this retaining wall is actually tipping over. It's only a matter of time this retaining wall will collapse. When that happens, it could cause slippage of the building and the grade up at this level into your yard. We're at the front elevation. The grading is good here. The retaining wall around the drive is okay, apart from in this area here. You can see it's leaning forward. Now, I mentioned in the report already about these trees. They really take an awful lot of moisture from the ground, and you shouldn't let them ever get close to the roof, they'll damage it. Let's look at the retaining wall that we have here. It's a wooden retaining wall with a concrete or brick or mortar and stone facing. So it's not a retaining wall that's made of stone. The part of the top of the retaining wall is moving and coming away, and the retaining wall down here is showing quite a lot of signs of deterioration, and it's running all the way up your side of your property, right the way along here. And there's been some remedial work carried out. You can see a new wooden beams put here, but again around here we're showing signs of movement in the retaining wall right the way along the end there. I'm at the right hand elevation. We're doing a inspection of the foundation, and we can see here the grade comes up to about 4 inches from the top of the foundation to below the top of the foundation, which is good. These bushes that we see here should be removed. They're going to take a lot of moisture from the ground in local areas, and that could cause problems with the foundation in the future. We're moving now to the front elevation of the property. This is the front elevation, and we can see the grade wall here quite clearly. Now here the grade comes up and into contact with the brickwork, and that's going to cause damp to be absorbed into the bricks and into the building. It needs to be dug back so that the grade, the mulch, doesn't touch the brickwork. Again, the grade is touching the brickwork. We're on the left elevation of the property. So all along the left-hand elevation, the grade is in contact with the walls. That needs to be dug back so that there's no damp material against the brickwork itself. Now around the building there are gutter downspouts. Here's one for an example, and it's emptying onto the grade adjacent to the foundation. That should have an extension put on it, bring it out here so that it empties away from the foundation, about 6 foot. There's some nails here in the foundation. They should be cut off and parched to protect the foundation. I'm at the rear of the foundation here. We can see that we have 2 post-tension cable ends showing. They should be parched to protect them. Now here we have the wall is siding, and we've got the grade built up over it. It's going to rot those trim boards. That should be dug back. Here you can see we've already got rot. I'm standing at the rear right elevation of the property. We're going to do the windows inspection. I've already noted pretty well all the windows have problems with the caulking. This one's got cracked caulking here. We're at the rear elevation. Now we've got a case in point here with the window. The caulking has completely disappeared from around the edge of the window. That must be recaulked because that's going to allow water in between the wall system. We're at the rear elevation, and you can see in this area here there's a small crack in the brickwork. It's opened up to about 3/8 of an inch, and that needs to be mortared, filled with mortar, pointed. It's just a bit of common settlement, but leaving the brickwork open like that is going to lead to problems. We're now at the rear left elevation of the property. Again, missing or deteriorating caulking at all the windows. Now we're going to the left elevation of the property. So we're at the left hand elevation of the property. We're at the window. You can see here we're at the window, and what I'm looking at is there's a small differential crack appearing in the brickwork here. Again, the caulking is very poor at all the windows. Small settlement crack here. That just needs repointing. In the report I'll say there are numerous points need to be repointed. And there's a differential settlement crack here. I'm at the right elevation. Again, we're looking at walls and windows. Yeah, and again we've got a differential crack running down here. So there is some common settlement going on in this building. I'm at the garage, and we have quite a bit of movement in the building here. We're at the right front elevation. You see down here we've got that stepped crack running down to the foundation, and you see the wall is moving in that direction. It's moving away from us. So we have a bit of separation in the brickwork at the right front elevation by the garage. So I'm at the garage, and what I'm noticing is we have a bit of sag in the lintel. This is the garage lintel here, and it's sagging in the middle. Now, why it should be doing that, I'm not quite sure, but I think it has something to do with the settlement that we've got in this part of the garage area. We've already found settlement in the wall, and we've got this showing some movement here. So there might be significant movement about to occur in this area, and so I would recommend that you have a foundation expert give you some advice on the condition of the foundation in this area. When you come into this area here, we have the retaining wall, and I've noted already the retaining wall is moving slightly. They all move, by the way, but that's just part of what happens in this part of the world because of expansive soils. But there is some suspicion in my mind now that there's some movement going on. We have big trees in the yard here, and it's well worth getting it checked out before you go any further. I'm standing in the attic at the left elevation of the property, and you can see here we've got a Romex cable which is just roaming loose. It looks like it goes to a plug up on the unit there, but it shouldn't be strewn across the attic floor as it is. I'm in a small bedroom off the laundry room at the right front side elevation of the property, and we can see here got a bit of cracking appearing in the crown moulding, and also part of the cupboard structure or the shelving structure here. Now this is the side of the house where I think there's some movement in the garage area, so I'm particularly paying attention to the cracks that appear in this area. We're in the hallway adjacent to the laundry room and the front hall, and there's a bit of cracking in the sheetrock here. We have a crack in the sheetrock and the door frame here, indicates settlement. These are the breakers for the AC, these two here, are both rated of 40, but I think the compressors may have been replaced, so we're going to check to see whether or not they actually require a lower rating than the breaker that's in here. There are quite a lot of additional circuits being run into this property. You can see it with the wire nuts. You see they're normally added after the fact, after it's been installed. It's been done pretty well. It's all done quite well. There's no double tapping, which is good. However, when you put additional circuitry in, it's normally required by cities to have a permit, to pull a permit to actually put it in. So you should check with the seller to find out if there are any city permits for the additional wiring. May of course have been done before they moved in, there's no telling, but it is worth asking that very question. I'm at the right side elevation of the property looking at the electrical meter, and what I've come out here to find is the electrical ground, and I cannot find it. I'm having a look around here, and there's a number of things that concern me. This conduit here, I'm not sure that that's correct. It's a plastic conduit. I'm not sure that's correct for actually going underground as it does. And also I cannot find the grounding wire, unless that takes me to it. There we go. Okay, so we have an electrical ground here. Yeah, there's an electrical ground, but it's not a proper ground. There's no ground, as far as I can see. I recommend you get an electrician, examine the board, and give you all clear on the electrical circuitry for this house. This is the outlet. It's to the right of the sink. It should be GFCI, and it's not. It needs to have a GFCI outlet fitted there. This is an illegal use of a extension cable. You see you've got here the two joined together. I'm not going to unwrap it to find out what it is, but it's right in the middle there. That's a single point of failure. Could get heated, could cause a fire. And then you've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 outlets. 12 possible outlets off of one supply. That's pretty dangerous. This is the outlet. We're at the front door. It's to the left of me here, and we have an open ground on the supply, on the outlet. This is the furnace. You can see the flame is burning there. I'm not going to take the cover off the furnace. It's held in place by bolts, and under a track inspection I'm not allowed to take things apart. All I can do is inspect from the outside. There's evidence of rat infestation in the attic. See a lot of droppings. They look quite fresh. I recommend that somebody is employed to lay traps and to obviously trap the vermin. Somehow I just couldn't get back together again. This is the furnace. It's in the attic on the above the garage, and it's currently burning. I'm in the attic over the garage, and we're looking at the vent pipe for the dryer, and you can see here we've got a lot of debris. In fact, it comes from the dryer itself in the pipe, and the pipe has come apart. It's actually falling apart. And then we look up at the outlet up there. You see a lot of debris there, and that actually is a fire hazard. And then if we look around the attic, we can see that this has been leaking air into this attic for many years. There's a lot of debris on the wood structure of the attic. Again, this raises the possibility of a fire. This type of material can spontaneously ignite under certain conditions, and this is probably a fire waiting to happen. This is the air conditioning compressor. It's on the right hand elevation of the house, and you can see here we've got a pipe, and this pipe actually should have a insulation on it, and it doesn't, so that needs to be added. The unit itself is reasonably level, has an isolator. The only thing is I will not be running it today because the temperature out here is round about 43. In fact, we can tell you exactly what it is. It's 42. So we've got 41, 42 degrees, and we can't run the air conditioning unit below 60. This is the compressor on the left hand side of the building. You can see it's not level, so it needs to be leveled. And we have poor insulation on the cold pipe, which needs to be repaired. This is the water meter and main isolation valve to the house. The house is there, right in front of the drive. Now at the front of the house here, I think I saw it over here by the garage, where the clear outs to the main drains. Yeah, the clear outs are in the bushes down here. And there's often a additional valve for isolating the house. I can't find it. It's probably covered by the mulch. Here's the irrigation system valve under this cover here. I'll take it off later. There's another cover here, and down there is an isolation valve, and you can see that it's buried. Now I'm not going to attempt to open or close it, but because it's buried, I recommend that you get a plumber. Oh, it works. I can do it. Okay, so the isolation valve is working. It needs to be dug out of that hole though, the dirt's going to actually damage it. This is the water pressure test. We've got 105 pounds of water pressure. That's far too high. It's got to be reduced to something between 40 and 80 pounds per square inch. This is the functional flow test for the water flow to the property. We've already established that we have too high water pressure. Now, a lot of people think high water pressure means faster, more water. Well, actually it doesn't. It has no effect on the supply at all. What it does do is it damages pipes and faucets and machinery attached to the supply, like fridges for example. In this test we're making sure that we get enough water from the faucet for the shower, even when the tub shower bath faucet is on, so you could take a shower and you can, but it passes. The faucets on the jet tub need some maintenance. This one opens. You can see it doesn't open in the same way. It's moved around, it needs a bit of maintenance. It can be fixed, but it does need to be fixed. This is a faucet in the guest bathroom to the main tub, and you can see it turns all the way around, off, all the way around and off. That's actually got a broken stop, it shouldn't work that way, and that needs replacing. Shower at the guest, shower and bath at the guest bathroom at the left elevation of the house, and this is broken. It comes off. This is the water heater inspection. This water heater is incorrectly installed. We don't have a drain for the temperature pressure relief valve, so I can't test it. In addition, there's no safety pan, and there should be. And we have a single pipe, single skin pipe. We should have a double in here. And then finally, we've got insufficient combustion air. You can see at the top there's a hole. That's not the right size. It should be bigger. We have a larger vent at the bottom here, which is okay, but that vent at the top there should be much larger. This is the water heater that's on the exterior of the building. We have a temperature pressure relief valve here. It works, and it actually has a drain pipe that comes out just beside us here. We have a single vent pipe. This is outside, so it's not so bad as the other one. I don't like it single because it gets very hot to be touched, to burn people. And then finally, we've got a vent hood here. This hood, that should be secured by metal screws. At the moment, it's loose. It can be moved, and the wind on the pipe, the flue in the roof system could cause that to move. So I'd like to see that fixed with metal screws.